By the end of this video, we will be one step closer to being deeply connected with our feelings and a bit better at drawing. This is designed for anyone interested in art. You can literally have the zero drawing experience and still benefit a ton from this. So let's grab our drawing tools. You might be tempted to just go watch more videos, but we both know that won't feel good. So let's actually draw together and then you can return to just watching stuff after. I will be using Prismacolor Premier pencils, a mechanical pencil, and a pen. Use whatever you have available to you. A ballpoint pen or pencil is really all you need. But if you do have something with colors, feel free to use them. Then let's grab the free worksheet on the site. It's linked below. If you don't have a printer, feel free to follow along in your sketchbook or on loose paper. So for this exercise, we will be meditating on a feeling and then try to represent it in either abstract shapes and colors or in a character. You get to pick which type of drawing you want to do. For the first 2 pages, I will be doing characters, and the final page I will be drawing abstract shapes and lines. So for the first prompt, we are drawing the feeling of joy or happiness. Sit back for a second and imagine what joy looks like on paper. What shape is it? What texture does it have? With the tools that you have chosen, how could you best represent the feeling? The answer doesn't have to be logical. We want to feel the feeling in our body and then use our intuition to draw. For me, I'm picturing an orb that is glowing while also being attached to the ground. I'm imagining flowing lines coming out of this shape, so I'm starting to draw in these lines. I'm trying to feel my way through this. Start drawing as soon as you have some inclination of where to start. You don't have to have it all figured out from the beginning. Just find your way through it. What memories make you happy? How do they look on paper? Keep drawing and hone in on that feeling itself. If you do want to draw a character for this prompt, you can draw in a face, but remember that you don't have to. Drawing isn't about the result, so don't think too much about the ending. Try to focus more on the process we are in right now. Tune into yourself and feel free to use multiple drawing tools and just play. We can always come back and do the exercise again if we want another shot at it. My drawing turned out looking a bit like a cute sun character, which I like quite a bit. Now let's move on to the next prompt. Remember, we can come back to the first one later if we want to work on it some more. For this one, let's focus on the feeling of stress. Now I know for some of you, this might be the easiest one to tap into. Let's take a second here and imagine how we can visualize our stress. Maybe there's a specific type of stress you want to capture. Just sit with it for a second, feel it in your body and follow your intuition. What is its shape? What kind of lines do you see? How big is it within the box? What colors do you see if you are working with colors? Start drawing as soon as you have some intuition of where you want to begin. You don't have to have a perfect idea from the start. You can make a mark and find your way through the drawing. I'm not trying to visualize it all in my head before starting. I'm just searching. This isn't about making pretty pictures, it's about representing the feelings, so pay attention to your lines. Pause when you need to, and move quickly when you feel like it. I'm picturing this hunched over shape that is looking down, and it's filled with chaotic lines and surrounded by darkness. This is a pretty literal description of stress. Yours can be much more abstract. You could fill the box with squiggly lines that are out of control if that is what stress feels like to you. Keep drawing and see what pops up. Add a face if you want it to be a character. Try to stay in the present with the feeling of stress without being carried away by the thoughts of stress. One way to do this is to tune back into your body. Where do you feel your stress in your body right now? Then draw that manifestation. Keep going for a bit longer before we move on to the next prompts. Now let's move on to the next prompt, which is the feeling of curiosity. Sit back for a second and think about it. Try to feel that feeling. When was the last time you were intensely curious about something? Maybe it was curiosity about someone. What was that experience like? Try to bring that into your memory and feel it again in your body. What kind of shapes are you seeing? What do the lines look like? What are the colors? Take a second to hone into that feeling and start drawing as soon as you sense a direction that might be interesting to you. Remember that it isn't about the end result, so even if you start off in the wrong direction and change your mind, that is completely fine. Actually, that's a good habit. Starting before you feel ready is how you actually improve. Keep on drawing and tune into the feeling of curiosity. For me, I end up drawing this character who is reaching upwards. Tapping into the feeling of curiosity reminded me of being a child and looking up at the trees and the night sky. Nature was always majestic to me, so that's kind of what I ended up drawing here. I also used a variety of colors because I think of curiosity as this vibrant experience. Now let's move on to the next prompt. We can come back later here if we want to keep adding to this drawing, but let's move on for now. For our next prompt, we are thinking about loneliness. This can be a rather unpleasant feeling, but I think it's important to feel it fully. So sit back for a second and remember a time you felt lonely. Now imagine the feeling in your body. Where do you feel it? As you breathe it in and feel it fully, imagine what it would look like on the page. What shape does it take on? How big is it in the box? What textures or lines do you see? Start drawing as soon as you feel like you have a direction. Allow yourself to feel the feeling fully as you work and put it down on paper. This can feel kind of difficult if you are used to turning away from difficult emotions, but that might be a good sign that this could be helpful to you. Doing this exercise is actually helping me feel more connected to my emotions, and I ended up drawing a small blob in a dark abyss. This is kind of on the nose, but I'm quite happy with it. Let's move on to the next prompt so we don't dwell in this sad space too long. Moving on to page number 2. Here we are going to capture the feeling of playfulness. This might be one of my favorite feelings. I know I'm going to be good friends with someone when they bring out the playful side of me. So sit back for a second and feel the feeling of playfulness. Where in your body is the sensation? What memories come up when you think about this? Now imagine what it would look like on the page. Start drawing as soon as you have some direction. Remember that you can draw anything. It's not about having a logical explanation for the drawing. It's much more about feeling the emotion and just letting it flow through you onto the page. Don't worry about the end result. Ultimately, we just want the experience of drawing to feel honest and captivating. Pay close attention to the physical sensation of drawing. I ended up drawing a fairly happy character in the middle of the box and flowing rounded shapes coming out of it. There's a certain dynamism in playfulness that I wanted to tap into, and this is what it looks like to me. Now let's move on to the next prompt. Feel free to come back to this later if you want to add more to it, but let's move on for now. For our next prompt, we are drawing the feeling of being rejected. Think of a memory that brings that feeling into your body. Sit back for a second and feel it fully. Where in your body do you feel it? What does it look like in your mind? What shapes, textures, lines do you see? When you feel an inclination, you can start drawing. This can be an unpleasant feeling, but leaning into it can help us learn not to resist it. Resisting negative feelings only makes them worse, so let's relax into the sensation. Keep drawing for a bit. Remember that you don't have to draw anything specific, just let things flow naturally. I ended up drawing a character standing in some waves, which feels quite appropriate because I was feeling the waves of rejection. But let's not linger on this feeling for too long, so let's move on to the next prompt. For the next prompt, we are drawing anger. I figured this would be appropriate after the feeling of rejection. So sit back again and think about anger. How does it feel in your body? What shapes do you see? What would it look like on your page? How do the shapes sit within the box on our worksheet? Start drawing as soon as you sense a starting point for your drawing. Pay attention to your drawing speed. What feels appropriate for the feeling of anger? Tap into all the aspects of the drawing experience. Some of my lines ended up breaking outside of my box, which feels appropriate for the feeling of anger. But let's move on to our next prompt. We can come back to this drawing later if we want to add more to it, but let's move on to the next box. For our next prompt, we will be expressing the feeling of being at peace. What does being peaceful look like? Sit back again and try to feel at peace. This might take a bit more time since we were just focused on anger, so take your time here. Where do you feel it in your body? What is your breathing like in a peaceful state? Then start to imagine what it looks like on the page. Start drawing when you feel a direction opening up in your mind. What are the shapes and lines like? What textures do you see? Try to use your intuition to guide you through this. I'm drawing this blob character and these soft shapes because being at peace reminds me of sleep, so I'm drawing this relaxed mood. Now let's move on to the next page. Good job on sticking to this drawing exercise thus far. Let's keep going. For the last page, we're going to tap into some memories. So let's write out things that come to mind. Our prompts for this page are the following: a happy moment from childhood, a happy moment this year, a challenging moment, which can be from any part of your life, and how are you feeling right now? Take a moment to write down some answers here before we start drawing. For a happy moment from childhood, I'm thinking back to catching bumblebees in mason jars. That stands out as a memory that I remember well enough to express on the page. Now, let's start drawing. I'm really trying to think about the feeling of the memory. I want you to try to capture the essence of the feeling without drawing the exact scenario. I will be using abstract shapes, lines, and colors for this page. This memory has a lot of warmth to it, so I'm using yellows and oranges. What colors resonate with the memory that you have chosen? Draw those feelings in this box, and feel free to draw a character if that is more interesting to you, but try to capture the feeling of the memory. Let yourself feel the memory fully. Try not to intellectualize it. Now let's move on to the next prompt. Remember, you can always come back and add more to this later, but let's move on for now. What is a happy memory from this past year that you want to capture? It doesn't have to be a big memory, it can simply be a beautiful sunrise that you've seen recently, or maybe just a moment where you made your friends laugh. For me, it was going to my first concert. I went with some of my best friends and it was tons of fun. So I'm thinking about that and what that memory felt like. I'm feeling a lot of flowiness when I think of this memory, and I'm seeing a lot of purple and pink. So I'm just going to start with that and add as I go. I don't have to know where it's headed, I just need some sort of direction to start with and then build on it. Lean into the feeling and let's see where it takes us. That was a lot of fun for me, and I'm actually quite happy with how this turned out, but let's move on to the next one. For our next box, we're going to draw a challenging moment. What is a challenge that you have faced that you want to express? For me, I'm thinking about the big artistic challenges I've experienced. I'm thinking about a specific moment where I realized I needed to make a style change because what I was pursuing at the time wasn't working. So that memory has a lot of pent up energy and almost like a whirlwind of emotions. I will be trying to capture that essence. What memory are you thinking about? Write it down and feel it in your body. Maybe close your eyes for a few seconds if that will help you lean into it, and then start drawing. Alright, that's enough challenging feelings for now. Feel free to come back and add to this prompt or any of the other ones, but let's move on for now. For this final exercise, we're trying to capture how we feel right now. I know we've been going on a bit of a roller coaster in terms of feelings, so it might take us a bit to get back into the present. If I'm being fully honest, I'm feeling a bit sad right now. So I'm going to be leaning into that feeling here. I'm going to be fully honest here and say that I was tempted to hide that from this video, but then the exercise wouldn't really work. Our goal here is to get back in touch with how we feel and put it onto paper. This way we can better understand ourselves. So how are you feeling? Take your time here. If you need a few minutes to figure it out, you can just sit there and wait until you understand your inner world a little bit better, and just take your time. Remember that you don't have to put a word to it. You can start drawing and feel the feelings that you are feeling right now and just put them onto paper, even if you don't know exactly how you feel. If you like this type of reflective drawing and want to connect deeply with yourself, I have a creativity course that you can check out below. It's very common for adults to lose touch with their intuitive and creative sides, so this course is designed to unleash that part of you. We will use a variety of prompts and exercises to slow down, which will help us reconnect with our natural creative side. It's designed for any artist at any level, so you don't need any technical skills to benefit from this. The earlier you start this practice, the better your artistic journey will be. So I will see you there when you are ready to improve your life with fun drawing exercises. And if this drawing exercise was helpful to you, make sure to share it with a friend, and I will see you again soon. Bye!